So it's been a week since I did my rant in 4 parts, which was supposed to be just one part, one continuous hour. The reason it was 4 parts was because at the time I uploaded it, my SIM card was broken and therefore I could not use my phone. And as a result, I was unable to verify my ID for to create the YouTube account properly, which meant that I had upload restrictions. So that's why it was done in 4 parts. That has actually now been resolved, so I might re-upload the whole thing in one go as it was intended to be, because I have noticed that quite a few people have only listened to the first part. I've actually been keeping an eye on it, and I want to thank everybody who has left a comment. Honestly, the comments were so nice and generous, and I'm overwhelmed by that in a lot of good ways. Honestly, I expected a lot of people to get criticised me, because previous times I've made forum posts, I've been heavily criticised for stuff I've said. I've said things a different way and I've posted in different places this time. So I tried a very different approach. And it's also one of the reasons I did a voice recording and allowed my emotions to fully come out rather than typing it. Because I think the problem with typing is sometimes your emotions can people can misread you when it comes to typing, and that might be one of the reasons why I've actually had a bit of criticism for what I've been saying in the past. Some of the criticism legit. To be honest, I wouldn't have minded if people had criticised, because, like I say, I was so angry at the time that I would have been much prepared to pick a fight with anybody who disagreed and thought that I just needed to appreciate what I had and blah blah blah. I was gonna give me a generic, um, you don't know how good you got it. Well, I say nonsense. It isn't really nonsense, because there are lots of things that I do have good in my life, and I do need to appreciate them more. But I don't think that completely invalidates what I was saying, and I want to thank everybody who reminded me of that. So I am going to respond to a few comments, and just to tell you where I am now. It's a week later. To be honest, not really much has changed in terms of where I am with my life. But today's been a good day. I feel a little better, especially having got all that out there. I do still intend to get therapy, but I have not managed to do so as of yet. A lot of people have been very supportive of this idea of me taking a holiday away by myself. I still want to do that, and I'm going to try to find a way to make it happen. I've not worked out exactly how, because money's an issue, and I've put individual comments in response to people who have commented, both on Reddit and on YouTube and on Facebook. I posted this on Facebook as well under a different false name. And yeah, one of the big problems I've got is that because I was trying to arrange this holiday anyway, and one of the problems I've got is because of a bill change and a bank contacting us about it, or contacting my wife about it. She's found out about some of the financial issues are worse than I was letting her know. I did let her know that that we were having financial issues, and she's obviously got financial issues in her own bank account. We got a few bank accounts, not to say how many, but we got a few for different for different specific uses. And as a result of the bank calling her, she's actually found out that my account was lower than I was telling her it was. That was my private account, which is a shame, because that means that she's now a bit more on the case, in a good way, that she's trying to earn more money herself, and she's actually really good about it, not horrible, but it also means that that makes it more awkward for me to discuss the different holiday that I want to book. But I'm going to try and find a way around that. I actually have another problem now regarding that issue, in the sense that I went and did a day trip recently to a dry ski slope, just to take a mental health day. Actually, it was only a few days ago that I did that, and because people were suggesting that I take a mental health day to myself, and I did. And that turned out to be pretty good. So it might be one of the reasons I've recharged a little bit, feel a little bit better. But another member of my family who also enjoys the hobby with me, who I've been with on holiday several times, has expressed a little bit of disdain over the fact that I went without inviting him, and has dropped a hint over the fact that he might actually. I have a feeling that if I was to book this holiday, he'd want to come with me, and I don't really want him to. It's not a deal breaker. It's not the fact that if he did come, it won't ruin the trip or anything. If anything, it will give me someone I know, someone who's not my immediate family at home, to converse with and talk to, and share companionship with. I might be able to talk things through with him. The only reason I wanted to one of the main reasons I wanted to do it really alone was because I've never done it, and I've seen so many other people who have, and it's one of the things I wanted to do before we had children. And unfortunately, I was actually planning a trip like this at one point when I found out she was pregnant, and the trip didn't happen. So I want to make up for that. But also, yes, he would be great to hang around with, but the problem is we'd end up having to share a bedroom. And I've shared a bedroom with him before on previous trips, and it's fine. But it means that I have to sort of adapt stuff like, generally we go to the same places, we do the same things, but it would mean I'd have to adjust my bedtime to make things fair. And quite simply, I want to be more in control of what time I go to bed in the evening, rather than going to bed earlier just because he wants to get up earlier and stuff like that. I just, maybe I'm making too much of it. It's not a deal breaker if I end up needing to go with him. It's better than not going at all. So let's have a look at some more responses I will give. Some people have said that I haven't had that many Christians reply from a Christian perspective, but then the Christian groups I wanted to post this in seem to not allow my post, and it might be because I don't know whether the admins checked it first and then decided to stop it because they didn't want any bad mouthing on God or anything like that. Or maybe the actual ruling was listed to be due to the fact they don't accept links to other websites. They don't accept YouTube links without massive context, and I didn't really want to write everything out, so that's annoying. So therefore, I've noticed that most of the comments are presumably atheists or agnostics, and that's absolutely fine. So I don't really have that perspective. So from that perspective, one comment I am going to respond to is somebody said you could just not believe God exists, and it's very likely that the world and the universe could have been created by chance. I'm not going to dispute your opinion. You're absolutely entitled to it, and I completely respect that. But I respectfully disagree, in the sense that I just don't buy. I would love to believe that there was no God. Believe me, but I respectfully think that having heard from scientists, believe it or not, that if the world was any, like, even a millimetre or centimetre close to the sun or closer away, life could not exist. Everything about how the Earth works, and from an astrology perspective, and everything about how life works and what is needed to sustain life, the amount of time that life has been sustained, I just do not buy that it's accidental. Everything just seems too deliberate to me. That's not the only reason I believe in God, and I've even believed in the whole Jesus sacrificing himself for our sins, blah, blah, blah. There are a number of other reasons, but I'd probably have to go into real deep stuff as to why I believe it. That said, I don't necessarily know if I believe everything, and I don't necessarily agree with this notion that there is one religion and all other religions are wrong, blah, blah, blah. I've always thought of it as more of people have interpreted things differently, and that's why we have different religions. And I don't think it's worth going to war over it, which, that's another topic. That's not even to do with me and my rant, so it's the absolution that I have from people that I have problem with, okay? Um, I'm tempted to actually go, I haven't read the entire Bible because I've had a real struggle with it. I'm actually tempted to, at some point, when I actually get some time, although I can't see that happening anytime soon, is to read the Bible and actually basically note everything that I either like or don't like about it. Because I've sort of said, one of the big problems is there's a lot I don't like, but there's a lot that I don't want to agree with. I don't want to live the actual proper Christian lifestyle. I wonder what I'm going to find when I try and do that. Not many people commented on my past love life that I talked about. Well, it wasn't really a love life. Just to clarify, my friend who I used to be in love with, she's out of my life at the moment completely. There was no fallout. She just moved away and moved on. As I said, don't know whether it was to do with me or not. I've deliberately not made much contact with her because it just makes me feel better. I felt very, because she came and went from my life for a little bit, and every time she came back, those feelings came back. So, I think the distance is more healthy for me at the moment. So there's nothing there for anybody who made that comment. But yeah, I do need to change some perspective. Somebody's absolutely right. There's a lot more worse wrong with the world than what's going on with me. And there's starving children in third world countries and stuff like that. And if a so-called God is not fixing problems like that, he's not going to just suddenly fix my problems, no matter how much I should wish for it. It's just not going to work like that. That's a good way of perceiving it, regardless of what my religious stance is. I think the main thing that has really been upsetting me is the lack of control I have had over my life. Somebody pointed that out as well. It's just the fact that I've just had it's like I've had no control for years. I've just or maybe it's my fault. Maybe I've let other people just control me all the time and just gone with the flow, because there's been somewhat a reason to that, because I don't know whether it's to do with my neurodivergence, but I don't very often, it's not very often I get to make a decision that affects other people in control of my life and get my way in that sense and not get some sort of criticism or attack for it. And when I don't, and when people do put their trust in me, I get proven wrong. A good example was I directed a short film once I co-directed a short film once, which never got released in the end, unfortunately, because of a lot of BS, but that's a long time ago and it's not really a big deal. But basically, I tried to do various different things with one particular scene, and the entire, it's a bit a knock on the self-esteem, but almost the entire cast disagreed with how I was doing it, and I decided to insist on going my way, and then how the day turned out, it proved that they were right, and that was not nice. The people who did trust me, and I let them down. So yeah, so often when I get my way, I turn out to be wrong. So somebody suggested it was due to strict parenting. I can absolutely assure you, it's not due to strict parenting. I've had a very horrible boss once in a previous job, which has not helped. But no, my current boss is fine. But no, it's nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that I get when I try and take control of things, I get challenged, and when I don't get challenged, then I just happen to be wrong. I just don't seem to have the ability to be right, and as a result, I just lost all control of my life. So that's what's frustrating. I am going to try and get a higher paid role, but if anyone's got any ideas of how I can because I can video edit, even though I've not displaying that very well in these rants, but this is just audio, it's not supposed to be video editing. But yeah, I would absolutely love any advice on how to do some freelancing of either video editing or tech or copyright taking or minute taking or something like that. Is there anything that I can do just to get some extra money? Because that would solve the holiday problem and stuff as well. Because I've actually thought about making some sort of compromise in return, definitely for my wife. Like, I don't know, she won't want to go on a holiday by herself without me and the kids. Um, I would offer it, but she won't take it. But I want to offer something else. A trip away with her. Give her a chance to go on holiday, even if the kids come with us. But then I've got to spend money on two holidays. So that all makes it tricky, and I need enough money to do that. But it's one way I could possibly sway around. So any advice anyone has, that would be wonderful. Let's have a look. I don't believe that. I don't believe I'm being abused as such. At least three people have suggested that, and not from this rant, even a previous rant I made on Facebook that was in text form. Somebody suggested that I was being abused. I have thought about that. It's possible, and I might look into it. But problem is, I do actually care about my wife, and I really don't want to go down that route unless she really is abusing me. There's a part of me that doesn't want to believe that, and there's also a part of me that thinks surely she wouldn't. And there's also the fact that I do see her express regret over the fact she has expressed regret over how she treats me sometimes. So I've complained about how she treats me. She goes back to doing it, but it's not like she doesn't apologise. She does actually apologise to me and does express regret over how she has treated me, which leads me to a better, well, I say better, which leads me to more of a conclusion that she is just overwhelmed herself and possibly really struggling. I try to appreciate that, but it doesn't make things much easier for me in that sense. Could I back away from religion? You know what? I don't. The problem is, yeah, that's true. I don't have to go to church. And you know what? I've come to the point where I could make peace with the fact that, you know, I believe in God but don't want to go any further than that. It's just that would be a dramatic change within my community. And ideally, what I want to happen is to improve my life without making changes. But I think that's probably a stupid and unrealistic thing to want. Ideally, I kind of don't want to do anything too suspicious, or anything that's going to, as I say, I don't know if criticism's the right word. Maybe it is. I don't take it brilliantly, unfortunately. I would have been fine for criticism for these posts because A, I'm anonymous, and B, I was trying to pick a fight anyway. But for the real me to just suddenly up and leave publicly leave my faith, not what's in my head, is gonna would ruffle some feathers. Um, but I might have to. It's not just going to ruffle feathers in my community. It's going to ruffle feathers in my family directly, especially since my wife is determined to raise our children as Christians. It's going to be very hard. It will upset her if I make that decision to walk away from religion, but it might be what I need to do. I'm doing my best to pull my weight, not getting appreciation for it. Yeah, I definitely feel that's the case. Or at least sometimes I get the appreciation, but just sometimes there's times I think that either a day or two before I recorded that rant, there was an incident where it's like I did everything that I was wanted to do, that I was asked to do, and then I still got it in the neck. Because I just didn't think of something else to do that I couldn't possibly have thought of. Again, one of the problems is I don't just have a brain that thinks of stuff that isn't in my brain in the first place. And common sense is a little bit of a weakness of mine, really. Any listeners from the UK? I notice most of the listeners are from the US, and thank you. But if anyone's from the UK, Could anybody recommend a therapist, actually? I am doing some research online, but it just might help me a little bit. Yeah, it does look like from the comments, maybe my stress is only going to get relieved um, if my wife either stops being the way she is with me at the minute, or if I do something drastic. I'd rather not do something drastic, but I can't just make her stop without doing something about it. I was hoping she'd just stop naturally. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Uh, okay. I can't actually, I can't actually see any other comments that I feel I need to respond to. Yeah. I'm just saying thank you again, checking in. We'll see if I post again or not. Yeah, thanks.